are tuned in to What Up Baltimore online radio. Please note that the views and opinions expressed are of the host and not of Lady J Media. Thank you and enjoy the show.
Hey, how you doing? Oh, I can't complain, but I'm still mad. I'm a black man, I am. I live in the land, I built things by hand. Our families were taken, our identities mistaken. For hundreds of years, we shed many tears. Although it appears that our culture doesn't respect the tradition we left. And the wisdom is stolen, placed by the nose, floors, from the windows to the walls, to the sweat from the wall. Still, hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to Spitfire Poetry Shutdown. I am your host, John Hansboro. It is Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. I have a very special guest on the show tonight. First, before we get into that really quick, this is being brought to you by Lady J Media at What Up Baltimore Online Radio, Butterfly Entertainment. Lady J Media at Butterfly Entertainment. Go to Lady J Media to LadyJmedia at gmail.com for ways to watch all of the shows on What Up Baltimore Network. All right. So we have a special guest in the house tonight, a playwright, an author, a poet, Ericka E.J. the Poet Epps. How are you, Ericka?
I'm fine. Good afternoon, John. How are you?
Good. I can't complain. It's no point in that. You know what I mean? I'm feeling good right now, though, because I'm about to hear some poetry. So that's always a good thing. I love Wednesday. I met Ericka at an open mic on Monday. Shout out to my guy Desmond Howard and his wonderful wife Desmond Guy. I said Desmond Howard. Desmond Guy and his wife Jewel Guy. I went to Desmond's open mic on Monday. Imaginary Mondays every first and third Monday of the month. And I met Ericka there. She was doing some poetry there that just blew me away. You know what I mean? So I said to myself, I have to get her on the show, and I hope that she can come on as early as Wednesday. And here she is. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Ericka, and what you do.
Well, my name is Ericka E.J. the Poet Epps. I'm a native of Baltimore. I'm a mother of 3 adult daughters, 5 granddaughters, and it keeps me busy. I'm a veteran of the United States Army. I served my country. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it. I've been writing poetry since I was 13. I had my first TV appearance on Channel 13. It was a segment called Speak Out back in the day. I did my first poetry it was called Stop the Violence. And it's actually still one of the poems I still do today.
Right.
So I've been writing poetry for a long time, but I came to write poetry because of the things I was dealing with in my life. So I was trying to find an outlet instead of being angry and lashing out in a different way. I started writing my pain and my happiness down on paper. And I just built a love for poetry. So right now, poetry is my life. I eat, breathe, sleep poetry. Anything I do, I can turn anything into a poem. And so right now, I'm a poet, I'm a playwright. I'm an author of my first published book this year called My Silent Scream, My Present Praise. And it's on Amazon selling list. So I'm thankful for that. And that book, it goes into, I pour my heart out. I'm just transparent. I tell a story about my life of being, dealing with incest, sexual abuse, sexual trauma in the military. So, and a lot of painful things I went through in my life and how I made it out. So, so when I wrote the book, I didn't write it out of trying to hurt other people, but I wanted to tell my story to let people know no matter what your past is, it doesn't predict your future, because I've been through hell and back, but I'm still here and I'm still grinding.
It's so interesting, and I love poetry because it's gotten me meeting so many wonderful, interesting people. First of all, thank you for your service, as you are a veteran, so thank you for your service. But it's interesting because I poetry for me is therapy. It's everything for me. I was able to draw from it in a time in my life that was one of the roughest times of my life, where I could have just went off and just did something crazy, and I didn't, thank God. But poetry is what helped me to deal and to cope with stuff that I was dealing with. Now, what's interesting is, similar to you, my book, I wrote it. No, what's the name of your book one more time now?
My silent scream, my present praise.
My silent scream, my present praise. Guys, go get that on Amazon. My silent screams, my silent praise.
My silent scream, my present praise.
Present praise.
Yes.
I with writing my book Unusual Favor, Ericka, I really was transparent as well with myself and my wife as well, putting out there some of the things that we dealt with. So it was a little difficult, I can understand where you come from, because it was a little difficult at first of me telling my truth. My wife likes to call it telling my truth, and it is basically what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But when she told me when I explained to her my idea for the book and things of that nature, she was okay with it. So I just ran with it.
Right.
But so this is the first book you've written? This is your very first book?
Yes.
Awesome. It's always a good
first of many.
Absolutely. But that first book feeling is great though, because I remember I just released mine last year, and it was everything for me. It really was.
Yes.
It was a big accomplishment for myself. I was proud of myself. So
right. Yep.
But you said that so poetry is it a form of therapy for you as well?
Yes, I write my poetry out of therapy when I'm going through some things, whether it's happy or sad. But I also write poetry for other people. I do poetry. So if someone called me and say, "Hey, I'm getting married. Me and my fiance met on these circumstances." They give me all the details, and I'll write a poem for their wedding. I do birthdays, divorce parties, any type, anything you want. Graduations. Just give me details, and I write poems for people.
That's awesome. That's really starting to take off, where some of us are being used for entertainment and things like that at parties and baby showers, whatever. And I think it's beautiful, because sharing our art and what we do as poets is so impactful on people. It's just incredible to me. I never really realized how some of the stuff that we say impacts people until as of late, when I really told some of the stuff that I dealt with and how I came out on the other side.
Exactly.
So without any further ado, so we're going to get into you doing some poetry. Okay. So you said you've been writing since you were 13?
I've been writing since I was 13.
Wow. Okay. Did you ever write any poetry that when you read it, you didn't like it, or did it, when you read it, it made you feel a certain way?
Yes. Some poetry, I wrote a couple of pieces and I'm like, no, I don't like that. I'll ball it up, throw it away. But then maybe later that week or maybe that year, I'll go back to that same poem, but I'll change something. And it made one poem I wrote out of anger and bitterness. And then I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I balled the paper up. And then I felt myself writing it again, but I switched it and it was more of a happier place. So sometimes I'll write and then I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. Then I'll come right back to the same piece and change it. It depends on where I'm at in my life, and change the whole poem. And then I like that poem better.
Did you write when you were in the military as well too?
Yes, I had a lot to write when I wrote, and when I was in the military, I wrote a lot, but I didn't really keep a lot of it because I was just jotting down things, and I lost the book that I had in transitioning back and forth. I lost that book, so a lot of things that I did write, I don't have that book anymore. So a lot of things I started writing again was out of memory, and then once I came home from the military, that's when I began to really dig into it in writing. Yes.
Well, let's get into some poetry. I can't wait. I remember a little bit of the poem that you shared Monday night. So whenever you're ready, you can just go right ahead, share whatever you want. On my show is No Holds Barred. art is art. The language doesn't matter. None of that matters to me. It is what it is. It's art. So that's
Okay.
how we feel about it on this show. So
Well,
whenever you're ready, sis.
I'm going to start off with something soft.
Okay.
Yeah. This piece is called Lost in Poetry. We started out as friends because of the bond we shared as poets. A sexual desire between us grew without us even knowing it. As each verse was written in a sexually explicit way, we completed each other's verse as if we already knew what to say. Your words felt like your tongue was licking between my thighs. The rhythm of your words was making my inner nature rise. Your hardcore words penetrating my mind, body, and soul. New verses every day. Your words never grew old. But then the poetry stopped because our lives were on two different tracks. Time is no longer on our side, but I really need my poetic lover back.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. That's something you wrote out of being in a relationship with another poet?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yes. So we wasn't like in a serious relationship, but we just started. And I actually wrote this one when I was on active duty because me and a guy, we actually started the relationship. But at that time, my unit got activated to go to Bosnia, and so did his unit. He was an infantry, and I was on an Air Force base, and we lost contact with each other. And I wrote that one on the plane coming back.
What was that like? Being in somewhat of a relationship with another poet. Like, what was that like for you? And did you guys write together at times as well?
Yeah, we didn't write together, but sometimes because we were stationed in Germany together, and sometimes we'll take a walk, or we just by ourselves. He would say something, and I would respond to what he was saying, and we almost had like a he said, she said back and forth. And sometimes we would just start off with a poem, and we complete each other's verses, and it was like we had long conversations. You know how sometimes people say, "Oh, we made love all night long. He just helped me." But our love making was words and poetry. We was just going back and forth with each other's words and minds and talking about different things. And the poetry it just flowed between us like that.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. That's I've never had anybody on a show that is a poet as well and was dating another poet or somewhat in that form of realm. But that had to be amazing though. Two creative minds, you know what I mean? Like that really was he well, I don't want to put him out there, but was he a good poet? Was he?
Oh yes, he was awesome. And back then, I think he was 5 years younger than me as well. So he was a younger guy. And
okay.
But his poetry was it was nice. And not only that, because sometimes we can be walking and we with a group of people, and not only did he did poetry, sometimes he would just freestyle rap over there, and it was just back and forth. So it was nice.
Wow. So being in the military and traveling around the world, what did that do for your writing?
It helped me write because now sometimes when I write, I think about different places I've been and seeing other people's relationships and how they handled their relationships or how well the relationships didn't go. So a lot of times I can take people's experience and just write about it. And not only that, sometimes I watch Maury Povich show, or I watch Divorce Court or something like that. And by the time the show goes off, I'm like, I'm going to sit down and write this. I may not complete it that day, but I'll go back and I'll complete it later on.
Right. How often do you write? You write just about every day, or maybe a couple times a week?
Sometimes I write just to be writing. I could be at work and I would think about something, and then I'll get on my phone in my notes and jot it down. And then when I come home, I'll put it on my computer. I could be asleep at night and dream about something. I'll wake up 2-3 o'clock in the morning, turn my laptop on, start writing, and go back to sleep.
Yeah, I'm similar. I do that too. I do a lot of my writing for some reason. I do late at night for some reason.
Because it's nice and quiet. That's the best time to woosah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, definitely with me, guys. I got 2 daughters in the house. We constantly moving around, so it is much more peace around that time.
Exactly.
So without further ado, I know you got some more. I know you got a whole bunch of poems that you can share, but whatever you got next, I'm definitely eager to hear it.
Okay, so I'm going to do the poem I did at the poetry night Friday.
Okay.
This poem is entitled Ride and Die Chick. Jay-Z said he can't see him coming down his eyes, so he got to make this song cry. I can't see them coming down my eyes, so I'm going to make this poem cry. We started out as friends, and then we became lovers. The two of us against the world, we didn't worry about others. We were like Bonnie and Clyde, always down for whatever, through the good and bad times and all type of weather. If he was driving a car, I was putting in the gas. If he was fighting for our life, I was helping him whip that ass. As you can see, we're inseparable. We always have each other's back. We was making moves, building empires. We was watching our money stack. But then our love for each other began to drastically decrease. Now I'm writing this poem because you are deceased. The last moment I remember was you driving in a car full speed. I asked you to slow down. You took your fist and punched me in the mouth, causing it to bleed. I grabbed the steering wheel out of anger. I was mad as could be. What I saw next was oncoming lights in the car hit the tree. My airbag deployed, but yours did not. We're both gasping for air. All I could hear was the police sirens in the distant air. My vision is blurry and the voices are blending. I'm trying to comprehend. I hear a faint voice saying, passenger is alive, but the driver life has ended. I began to scream, but I could not hear a sound. I felt like I was being held down. Now I'm strapped to this gurney and I'm losing my mind, knowing that you won't be around. Why did I grab the wheel? Wait a damn minute. Why the hell did you punch me in the mouth? I'm arguing back and forth with myself. Voices in my head starting to shout. Oh no, am I losing my mind? Is it my fault that you're gone? Who's to blame for this death? I think we both were wrong. Damn, I must really be a ride and die chick.
Awesome, Ericka. I mean, just damn. You're when I heard that Monday night when you did that poem, you know, you had me as soon as you started going, and then you take us through so much in it. You know what I mean? And your detail, the way that you detail and talk about the trauma that you went through in that situation is absolutely incredible to me. Like that's what does that do for you when you recite that poem?
It helps me get rid of some of the anger that I had built up, because this poem is kind of true to a point, but I just added a little bit more to it because I was in that situation. But my friend at that time, he didn't die, but we were in a car accident like that. But and at that time, I lied to my mom and my sister because it was back then in my life. That time, I lied to my mom and my sister, and they was wondering what happened to my car. And I told them I fell asleep behind the wheel, was sideswiped the wall coming down Liberty Road, which wasn't the truth. But at that time, that's what it was. But I was with this guy at that point, that's all I saw was money. But at the end of the day, if you can't go home, lay your head down and not wonder, are you going to live to see tomorrow? Is somebody going to bust in your, knock down your door? Or do you have to watch your back 24/7? And at the end of the day, if he got locked up and go to jail, was I still going to be there with him? Or was I going to go to the next person? And I see a lot of females in that situation. You're riding, dash, the wheels fall off. But if that person die or if that person go to jail, you're going to be on to the next person. So is it really worth it? No, it's really not.
So that poem came from, that had a lot of, that poem came from a space that you remember in your life. You know what I mean? That was a traumatic situation for you. Yes. And you're also a playwright too, right?
Yes.
So have you written anything as of yet, or had anything done?
Well, I had a lot of stage plays, but since the pandemic, everything shut down, so I haven't been casting anything going. But I was doing I started out doing plays at church, having dinner theater, and then I went to Angels Event Center. I always had dinner theater, and then I moved over to Gordon Center Performing Arts out Owings Mills. Yeah, so I did a lot of plays. So a lot of people's asking me, when you coming back on stage? When you come back on stage? Now I'm hoping the world open back up and the pandemic don't shut us down again. But I can't wait to get back on stage.
So what was your most recent play about?
Well, my last play was called Too Much Drama. It's a trilogy. We did part 1 and we did part 2 already. So okay. I still have to finish part 3. But Too Much Drama was around. This is another part of my life. So what I do, I take my life experience and change the people, the places, and time. So this is called Too Much Drama, and it was under Miss Sashay's fashion design company. So it was 2 ladies, a guy, and a couple other people working in the fashion industry. And the lady was dating this guy, but the guy was dating everybody, all her employees. Right. And it came to a point where everybody in the middle of everybody ended up finding out what's going on. He ended up getting one of them pregnant, but stole the other one, but got married to the other one. So it was part 1. It was Too Much Drama 2, and now Too Much Drama 3. I'm working on that, the trilogy, so it can end it. But what I'm trying to do now is actually go back and do part 1 first, do part 2 again, and videotape all of them this time, so I can actually have the collection and put all of them. I'll pull out everything out at one time.
Do you act in your own plays, or you like to be behind the scenes?
I like to be behind the scenes. Now I can get on stage and do poems all night long, but to get on a stage play and do that, no, I'd rather write it and be behind the scene and put people out there and let them do it. For some reason, I don't know why I'm shy when it comes to stage plays, but I would get out there and do poems all day long.
Yeah, that's weird, right?
Yes.
But your book, Silent. Say that again for me one more time.
My silent scream, my present praise.
My silent scream, my present praise.
Yes.
Silent scream, present praise.
Yes.
That right there is a lot in the title. I got so much going through my mind just saying the title to that. All right. The silent cries, I take from when we're in our own personal space and we may be overwhelmed and we're just crying out to God or whatever we're doing to get through, and then that praise at the end when whatever you've been praying for comes to surface, or whatever you've been waiting for happens for you, or whatever feeling you've been chasing, you actually get to feel. Where did the inspiration for that book come from?
Well, this book is, like I said earlier, this book is a story about my life. So when I did my silent scream, I'm not sure if you can see it. See how she got the tape over her mouth? So my silent scream is because I was screaming inside so long from all the abuse that I suffered, and I couldn't tell nobody. So that's why she put the tape over the mouth. So it was like a silent scream. I'm screaming inside, but can't nobody hear me.
Right.
But my present praise, because of where I am now and what all the stuff God brought me through all abuse, suicide attempts, everything. But I'm still here. So now I'm in my present praise moment. So that's why I wrote my silent scream, my present praise. And I'm not for sure if you can see the back, but the back of the book has a poem on there. And I wrote a poem to my abusers. So that's the back of the book. And the book, so everybody said the same thing when they read the poem on the back. They was like, "Oh, I gotta buy this book," and it was a page turner. And to this day, I live the story. But will I read the book again? Probably not. I mean, I read it like when I have book signings or book readings, and somebody asks me to come, I'll do it. But just to sit down and read the book all the way through again, I don't do it.
Yeah, it is it too much for you to go back through some of that stuff when you're reading it?
Yes, because it was hard for me to write it, and then it got to a point I didn't write during the process while I was writing it. I had stopped writing for 2 months. I said I can't do it. But then my editor, the lady was working with me, she said, "You got to finish this book. Come on, you got to finish it." And I picked it up and I continued writing. And I started in March 2020. I finished it in November 2020, and it went on sale July 26th of 20 this year.
Wow, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Now you say you get pretty transparent in your book. How did you come to feeling like, what the hell with it? I'm going to put this out there. I may get some backlash or whatever the case may be, or whatever I
Mm-hmm.
wrote about that involves maybe my family members or friends, they may feel a certain way. What was that like for you?
Well, when I first said I thought I was going to write it, but then going through counseling with my pastor and my first lady, he told me, he said you have to write your book. He said writing your book is not for you; it's for everybody. It's for other people to get delivered. Your book will help other females that's in the same situation feel as though they don't have no hope. And he said, I guarantee you, when you write this book, it's going to free you of everything that you've been. He said, because you don't hold on for this pain for so long, worried about what other people going to feel, how everybody. He said, when are you going to start worrying about yourself, how you feel, and your mental state of mind? He said, you're gonna write this book. And I kept telling him, I said, I don't have time to write this book. He said, you're gonna have an opportunity to write this book, and nothing's going to stop you. And when he told me that was January 2020, New Year's Eve service. And we went in the pandemic in March. He called me. He said, "Start writing your book. You got all the time in the world now." And I wrote this book through my pandemic. But before I also wrote it, I talked to my mom. I said, "Mom, I'm going to write this book." I said, I'm writing it from my eyes. I said, I'm not going to because when I say I go in details of my molestation, and when I say I go in details, you can. It will bring you to tears, because when you're reading a book, you would some women that read it already, they called me and said, I cried through the first couple of chapters because I've been there and it felt like I was that little girl in that room again.
Right.
So it helped. And then I was talking about the abuse my mom went through. So writing all this, I told my mom, I said, I'm not writing it to shame anybody, but I need to write it for myself too. Not only that, to talk about how I felt through the whole dynamic of the whole situation. And so I started from the age I was 5 up until now. And when I say I've been through some stuff, but when our book finally came out, my mother said, I'm not going to read it. But I had pictures in there of me when I was a little girl at different points. And my mom said, well, the only thing I asked you to do is I don't want my picture in the book. So out of respect for her, I never said I've never named her real name. And I never put pictures in the book. I refer her to as my mom through the whole book. I did change people's names in the book too, because if I haven't put it this way, some of the people that names in the book, if I talk to them, they say, go ahead, use my name. I don't care. Some of the people that I didn't get a chance to talk to, I switched their names. But when my mom bought the book, she said, I'm about a book just to support you, but I'm not going to read it. But she ended up reading it, and I didn't know. And I was calling her for a few days, and she, I didn't get a contact. That's not like me and my mom. But then she finally called me back. She said, I read the book. She said, but it just took her, because she was so upset because she didn't know all the stuff that I was going through. But like I told her, I couldn't tell you because all the molestation that he was putting me through, I couldn't tell, because he told me he was going to kill you if I did. And I believed him, because I seen him beat up my mom so many times and put guns to her head, pull the trigger, just craziness. So I believed him. So between my mom being abused, physically abused almost every day, by me being molested from the time I was 5 to 13, it was just so. And when I say I put the details and stuff in there, but my mom, I think it just took her back again, because she felt as though she didn't protect me. But like I told her, you couldn't, and don't feel bad because I couldn't tell you, because at that point we couldn't protect our own selves from this monster. So, it was a lot. And then growing up, becoming a teenager and trying to date guys, trying to find that love that I didn't have, and just the cycle continue. It got to a point where, and y'all see in the book, where I just spiraled out of control. It was like, I need to get myself together. I had 3 daughters now, and I was married to one of the guys in the book, and I did go in details about our marriage as well. And yeah, when I say I was transparent. A couple of people in my family, they messaged me on Messenger. Oh, we bought the book. You shouldn't have wrote that book. Why are you putting the dirty laundry out and all? And excuse my expression, John. I told him, I said, "Fuck y'all, get off my page," because this is why this is going on in families, because no one's talking about it. Everybody wants people under the damn rug. The rug becoming so freaking bumpy, and then you tripping and falling over it. But we got to stop that in these families. If something is hurting you or somebody's hurt, we need to let it go. We need to tell somebody. It needs to be said. And a lot of times it doesn't happen. And then you grow up, you take all your hurt and pain into your adult relationships, and you wonder why they don't work.
Exactly. You just said a lot right there, sis. Damn.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. You know, I really do. Wow, thank God for poetry, huh? You know what I mean? Like,
Poetry kept me out of jail.
yeah, you and me, you and me both. I'm telling you,
Yeah. You'd be like, let me go write this poem before I catch a case. Like, yeah.
exactly. You know,
Yeah.
when I wrote my book, Unusual Favor, I was still when I was in the process of still writing it, I was
Mhm.
still going through some of the stuff that I was talking about in the book was going on at that time.
Wow. Mhm.
Um, and sometimes when I look back, I'm like, damn, how did I? With the confusion that was going on, how was I able to sit down and
Mhm.
write that material? My
Right.
first three books, my first storybook and my two poetry books, they were written in my laundry room of my house, in the basement of my house, in the laundry room. I had a little desk set up,
Mhm.
and dealing with whatever trauma and drama that I had going on at that time,
Right.
writing helped me to get through it. So
Mhm.
in hindsight, when I look back, that's how I was able to get through, because I was able to write about it. But
Right.
it's still like crazy to me,
Mhm.
being able to put that down and
Right.
using that as a tool to heal myself. That's basically what I did.
Right.
Um, so
It's
okay,
healing.
so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying poetry is healing.
It definitely is healing.
Mhm.
I believe it's healing. I believe it's good for us to let stuff out, get it
Mhm.
off your chest. You know what I mean? I know one thing for me too is crazy. I may not can express myself in front of someone talking to them about my feelings, but I can write the shit
Right.
down
Mhm.
exactly how I need it to. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And translate it that way.
Exactly.
Um, so I'm eager to hear another poem from you. I know you got a bunch of them, so
Yeah.
whenever
So,
you ready, I'd definitely like to hear another one.
okay. This poem is called Blurred Lines. Blurred Lines. You
Okay.
love me. I like you. You protect me. I fight you. You analyze. I complain. You bring sunshine. I force the rain. You keep up with the time. I procrastinate like hell. You keep secrets. I go kiss and tell. You feed my heart. I tear yours apart. You'll create a masterpiece and I'll destroy your art.
Mm.
You want me to stay, but I'm pushing you away. You want to talk. I have nothing to say. You wonder why I act like this? I can give you a play by play list. Our lines became blurred when you began to ignore my needs. You started being unfaithful, sleeping around, planting your seeds.
Mm.
I became your afterthought on things that I used to be put first. I became your dehydration. I no longer quenched your thirst. My beauty no longer existed to you. The sight of me made you sick. Your eyes began to wander around town looking at all these other chicks. The magnitude of your disrespect set my hurt and anger level on high. My emotions changed from fire to ice. I'm so angry I can't even cry. Now
Mm.
you're calling me every day, saying that you need some sexual healing. In the words of Jasmine Sullivan, don't forget to pick up your feelings.
I love it, sis. I love it. I love it. I love it. Man, what tell me your top three or your favorite poets. Give me three of your favorite poets.
Uh, my favorite poets,
Yeah.
oh, Maya Angelou, Nikki Giovanni, and Langston Hughes.
Yeah, that's about similar to me. In my top five, they definitely three of them in there. I love yeah, I love them all, but it's
Mhm.
something about Nikki Giovanni that, for one, she reminds me of one of my grandmothers that I um, and her attitude and the way that she looks.
Mhm.
But the way that she just embodies what she's speaking about and how she feels about what she's saying, right?
Mhm.
I saw a clip of her when she was talking to some college students. I say this all the time. She was talking to some college students at a school, And she was telling them that you have, basically she was saying you got to be true to yourself as a writer. You know, when you're doing poetry, you got to be true to it. You got to write what you feel and not hold back. You know, for a while I was hindering myself because I wasn't putting all of my all into my poetry. I was heavy in the church at one time. So some of the things that I wanted to express, I held back because I didn't want to make my pastor look crazy on social media or my family, well, whatever, you know what I mean? But I watched this video that Nikki Giovanni was talking to these students about, and it changed everything for me right there. So you know what, that's it. Because I would go to church and then come home and try to write, and I couldn't write. I couldn't, it was like it was two different people. You know what I mean? It's like I was two different people. Have you ever experienced anything where, it was like, other than your book, and your poetry, was it ever anything that you shared that you really didn't, you felt uncomfortable about sharing because it was something that you just despised of, or was it because it was good for you, like you said, therapeutic anyway, so you would just write it regardless?
I just write it regardless. I met Maya Angelou back in 1998. That was the first time I went to a poetry slam. It was Borden's Bookstore out in, I want to say, I don't know if it was in Crownsville, Mitchellville. It was somewhere. One of my mother's good friends, God rest her soul, her name was Georgia Goodrich. She was a poet and a playwright when I came home from the military. And she was, when my mom told her I write, she started taking me everywhere. I went to the Maya Angelou show when she did with Ashford Simpson at the Lyric, and I was just sitting there like in awe. But I did a poetry slam, and Maya Angelou was there. And the poetry that I did, I was so nervous, and I went up there and I said my poetry, and I came back. But at the end of the show, when she was signing autographs and stuff, and I went up to her and I said, Miss Angelou, I said, I just want you to know you're one of my favorite artists. And she said, you were her voice. She's like, come in, young lady. Right. She said, I can tell that you have a heart for poetry. She said, you're writing. She said, but I'm going to let you know, and I'm telling you from a good point of view. When you understand how powerful your poetry is going to be, when you get confident in what you're saying, that's the one you're going to step on stage and your voice is going to be heard. She said, whatever you got in you, bring it out, own it. And I was like, and I said, that's what I want to do. I said, that's all I do is I write every day. I said, I write all day. She said, if that's all you know to get up and do, you eat, sleep, and write. And she said, you're born to be a poet. She said, keep that in mind. She signed up. She gave my autograph and everything. And I held on to that paper all night long for the longest time. I kept it in a book. I lost it over the years. But every time I think about that, I was like, oh my God. And to this day, I said, I wish I was able to meet her again before she passed away. But she gave me that. And so now when I write and when I step out on stage, her voice is in my ear. Give it your all. This is your voice. This is your poems. So a lot of times when people ask me when you write, because I have a family member, I'm not going to say no names, but when I write poems, whether it has cussing in it or anything, she's like, well, can you write your poems without cussing? No, because it's not a poem that doesn't require, it requires me cussing because this is how I felt, this is what I said, and you're not going to tell me how to write my poems. So if all of my poems don't have cussing in it, but some of it do, because that's how I felt. And if I'm going through an abusive situation and I'm writing a poem and it's not going to be like, oh, and I said, please, and this was like these, and no, it's going to come out raw, uncut, the way I said it. God knows my heart, and I don't walk around the street all day long cussing just to be cussing, but that's how I feel, and that's what I'm writing. This is my voice. No one's going to take my voice from me anymore. No one's going to tell me what I can't and cannot say. This is my poetry. This is my therapy, and I'm going to do what it allows me to do. Yeah, so for a long time, I had to, no, but you gotta, each poet is different. You gotta bring out what's in you. Some poets may not cuss. Some poets may be radical. Some poets I write about everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it all depends on how I feel and what I'm writing.
How often, I think you just did an event a couple of days ago, right?
Yes. So I do, I started doing events. It's a poetry and song event. So what I did, I started getting different poets to come on. I have a live band. I had the poets come on, and then I had a live band in between. We do dinner, and then I'll come out and do my show at the end. But it gives people opportunity that likes to do poetry, that never been on stage before, to come out and showcase their talent. So I did in August. I did a Denim and White poetry and song night. That was awesome. And then last Saturday, I just did a Fade to Black, where everybody was in all black, and I had a Shay and Company came in, and as I was doing my poem, Shay was singing behind me as well. And actually, that's what Desmond guy, he emceed my show for me. So so I did a Denim and White. We just did Fade to Black, and in January 2022, we're going to do Bring the Smoke. So there's going to be another one coming up.
I'll definitely be there for that. I cannot. Me and my wife will be there definitely.
Great.
It's crazy because poetry and song is what was one of the main things that helped me and my wife get through some of the situations that we dealt with, right?
Okay.
My wife is a singer, so we were doing something similar, the same thing. We were doing shows where she would sing and I would do poetry in the song with her, or like afterwards or whatever. And us doing that, we started doing that at a time where our marriage was really being tested. I talk about it in the book. It was really being tested, and the fact that we were starting to do those shows really helped us. And being able to be cordial and start to communicate more with each other. You know what I mean? We definitely have to come to one of your shows, because that's right up our alley. We'd love to be there for that.
Great. Oh, and one thing I didn't tell you, also, I play alto saxophone. So what I'm going to start doing next year is try to get somebody to help me put my poems to songs. So what I'm trying to do, I want to actually recite my poem and then put then come play the sax behind it, and then do some more poems. So next year, that's my new adventure, to have someone work with me to put my poems and stuff, so I can play the sax and do poems at the same time.
Do you have a favorite poem that you always go to that you like to recite? Was that one of the two that you did already? Was that one of them, or do you have one that's a favorite that you just love to get off your chest and just put out there?
It's not my favorite, but it's my favorite because we're still dealing with a lot of crime and shooting and killing in Baltimore. And I wrote this poem back in 1990 something, but it still remains the same today, and that's the sad part about it. And I can do it if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the name of this poem is called Days of Our Lives.
Okay.
Ignorance is at its all-time high. Hustlers on the street ready to die. Children getting caught up in drive-bys. Mothers in the street screaming, why? The prom queen is now a dope fiend. First of the month, New Jack City scene. Shooting craps and domino schemes. Sisters selling their bodies for any means. Boys abandoning the mothers of their babies. Men wilding out, beating down their ladies. Crackheads walking the street looking crazy. Welfare riders are just lazy. Different color hair weaves. Platinum fronts on your teeth. Taking what's not yours. Getting beat down in the street. Having sex with someone when you first meet, gunshot to the heart. That was the last beat. Yet, these are the days of our lives. The young are getting restless, and as they search for tomorrow, trying to find another world, many will end up in a general hospital, realizing that they only had one life to live.
Awesome. Are you going to put a poetry book out as well too? Because you got some good, you got some good stuff. Look, I always love to meet young ladies or women that are in poetry that really, because you have a voice, you have a whole aura that just stands out and just it's like, it's not aggressive, I want to say, but it's and a lot of these young people really need something. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. And they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Right. Some of the situations that they are in are just absolutely disgusting and incredible. So I love to see women, sisters who do poetry, because I feel as though y'all are a voice for so many young girls out here. You have
Mm-hmm.
no idea. So I know you're planning to write a poetry book, right?
Yes, well, I actually self-published a poetry book back in 1999, but it did that's when I first really started trying to get into books and stuff, and everything was just so expensive. So I'm going to, now that I'm in the publishing and know how to do it, I'm going to actually take everything that I wrote from back then all the way up until now and put it in the book.
I'm glad you mentioned the publishing part too, because that was something for me that I thought I knew about. I did some research and all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was blessed to meet a sister who really just laid it all out for me. She had her own publishing. She has her own publishing company. Shout out to Angela Edwards at Pearly Gates Publishing.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you in the beginning? Because a lot of people just don't even know where to start. I was one of them. So what was that like for you? To write the book, and did you you have a publisher, or you self published it yourself?
No, I'm getting published. I get published through Amazon.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So it was easy for me because my editor, she's also an author and a publisher, and she done so many books. So when working with her, it was the easy part. Like she said, the hard part is getting it bind and make sure you put everything together and make sure it's ready for print. That's the hardest part. But she said a lot of people don't know when they pay people to help them write their book, edit their book, do all. She said, nope. Make sure you get everything done. Write your manuscript. That's the hardest part. Once your manuscript is done, she said, then send it to your editor, whoever you want to have it done. And sometimes editors may bring it back if you need. She said a good editor will tell you, you need 3 times for me to do this, send it back, and we go back and forth. Third one, that's your final price, send it off. Then you're ready to send it to print. But also, if you don't know how to print, send it to print. That'll be more money. So what she did, she actually walked me through how to set up my book in print format and underneath the Microsoft Word. So when I sent it to Amazon, I just had to drop it in, and they send it back and say, okay, is this how you want your book to look? And when I sent it back, I was like, okay, cool. The only thing I needed help with was putting I put the color pictures in a book. And then when they sent it back and said, okay, it's going to be this much, I was like, nah. So I sent it back, said, make the pictures black and white. Then so my price went down. So I was able to sell it at $20 a book, but still get my royalties to make profit off of it.
Right.
And then a lot of people don't tell you, they're like, oh, you got to sell this book for $40 to make this. Like, no, because it all depends on the font, whether you're doing hardback and color. So, and a lot of people don't tell you that. They was like, oh, okay, we're going to take your book. We're going to do this color. And you start like, okay, I got to pay all this money for the book. Everybody's not going to tell you that. So you have to make sure you know all the ins and outs about it. And that's one thing I've learned. So my next book is going to be easier to do than my first book.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm definitely going to get your book that you had published now. We're getting close to time. So do you have another poem you can share with us before we wrap it up and you tell everybody how to follow you and everything?
Yes. The last poem I'm going to do is the poem that's on the back of my book.
Okay.
And once again, my book is called My Silent Scream, My Present Praise. And I'm going to read the poem on the back. It's called To My Abusers. Family secrets are a bitch. Sinful nature like a witch. The person's doing wrong never snitch. Truth rises to the surface. Now you itch. Family secrets are such a shame. No one wants to reveal the names. Rolling dice like a Monopoly game. Next generation cycle remains the same. Family secrets hurts like hell. My abuser saying, don't you tell. Inside my head, I scream and yell. I'm going through life like all is well. Family secrets got me going insane. Having flashback, reliving the pain. Tears pouring down like the thunderstorm rain. Holding on to these emotions has me mentally drained.
Awesome, Ericka. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. In the city that we are in, I love my city to death, but, sometimes it's a hate and a love at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sick of the violence and things that are going on. I've seen a lot. Yeah, it is. I'm 46 years old, and I would say, a lot of people say it's never been this bad. We always had violence, but I think more now is the respect thing is just gone.
Exactly.
It's just depleted, and the children need something. They need something to get into. They need something that's going to give them hope. Some of them see things in their family or things in the street, and they like, what am I going to do? How the hell am I going to get out of this situation I'm in?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, I hope to be able to, form something where myself and a lot of my poet friends just do something for the kids, where we can do something once a month or something. I don't know. I'm still working it out, but the level of violence is scary. It really is scary.
It really is.
Yeah.
And by you being a poet, and I'm a poet myself, I would love to see like you said, getting children together, and because a lot of them like to write, and the things they see, I know they have a lot to write, and I would like to have them come in and just be able to do poetry. Have just like I have my radio show. It's called the Poetry Lounge, but I would like to really have a poetry lounge for students to come in, to young people to come in, so they can just release what they want to write. I don't particularly like when you say poetry battles. I don't want to go against another poet, because it's not a battle. Everybody, we can come together without always battling or have to say who's the best at it. Put everything together and let's just have some fun dialogue and just have fun with it. But if we could get something together for these young people, because what they see out here, trust me, they have a lot to say.
They definitely got a lot to say, and it would surprise a lot of us of what they have to say, because they're a lot faster than we were when we were coming up. Your podcast. So tell us about your show that you have.
So on Mondays from 12 noon to 1 p.m., I have Radioreadingnetwork.org, and it's a program where I go in and I read. I have a poet lounge, and I recite different poems every Monday, and then I read inserts of my book, and then I tell short stories. So I just come in and I just do a 1 hour poetry. Some days I may go hardcore and raw. Some days I'm maybe all mushy and just want to be all lovey-dovey with the poems. And then I talk about my book. Radioreadingnetwork.org is also what I'm reading for, because it's also with the School for the Blind, because they don't have TV. They have TV, but they can't see. But they wanna be able to hear other things besides world news and politics and stuff. So I bring a little flavor to their segments on Monday, and so a lot of them listening, tuning in, because they want to hear the poems, and I'm doing my book every week. So now they waiting for the next chapter. Okay, what's for the next chapter? What's for the next chapter? So that so I'm enjoying that, because I'm actually being able to put smiles on people's face and actually let them hear different stories instead of the regular TV programs and the old TV programs that was from 10,000 years ago. So I'm giving them a little fresh stuff to listen to.
How do you manage, your passion for writing and playwright and things of that nature, being a published author, along with your family and working, things of that nature? How do you balance it all out?
I'll make it work. So I work during the day, and so I can fix my schedule the way I want to fix it, and then I set my time. So when I come home in the afternoon, it's poetry time, playwright time. But I keep besides this Wednesday, but I keep my Wednesdays free, because that's my Bible study night. But the rest of the days I have, like Monday I just work on all radio stuff. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm working on whether I'm working on a poem or working on a new play I'm going to do. So I make time for it, because I take it like this. I wasted so much time in bad relationships, going through so much stuff and not doing what I wanted to do. Now that I have the opportunity to do it, I don't when I'm woke, all my time is spent. I don't have no idle time. My children are grown. I have grandkids that I get on the weekends when I'm not doing all of this stuff. But I tell my grandkids, I'm doing all this for you. I'm trying to build a legacy to leave for them. So I make time for it. And everybody always say, well, when you gonna have time to date? When you gonna have time to date? And I always say, when the right man come along and understand my grind and understand what I'm doing, and he want to match what I'm doing, then other than that, I can't waste my time on Texas. What you doing? Oh, okay. Got Netflix and chill. I'm not. I'm trying to build my empire, get my stuff together now.
I hear you. Ericka EJ, the poet, Epps. Ericka, tell us how we can follow you.
You can follow me on Instagram at EJ_the_poet. You can follow me on Facebook at Ericka EJ the Poet, Epps. You can check out my webpage is www.ej-the-poet.com. check out my webpage. It'll give you all the upcoming events and everything that I'm doing. You can leave me a message if you want me to come perform at one of your shows or do a book signing. Just leave me an email. I will respond to you, and I keep it moving. I keep it moving like that.
Sounds wonderful, Ericka. I appreciate you coming on the show. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I am so glad. Like I said Monday, that I came out to the open mic, because if I didn't come out, I wouldn't even have ran into you. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So I love the fact that you were able to come on. I appreciate you. I do look forward to having you on again. We definitely got to stay in touch. I got some ideas I want to run by you and stuff. So
most definitely.
Yeah, we definitely need to network. But I appreciate you coming on. I always say to people all the time, you know, if you want to be blessed, you have to bless other people, right? Exactly. You know, if you want to be blessed, you have to bless somebody else. So one of the reasons for this show is for me to bring other people on here, because it's not about me. You know what I mean? I love to bring people on so they can talk about what they do, put that self out there in hopes that we can help and heal somebody else. So with that being said, Ericka, I appreciate you for coming on. We will see you soon. The name of that book one more time before we go.
My Silent Scream, My Present Praise, and you can find it on Amazon.
Absolutely. Ericka, I appreciate you, sis. I will be talking to you soon. You be safe out here.
All right.
Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you.
Bye.